You ever wonder where evil really comes from? I mean, it's a question that has tied thinkers up in knots for centuries. But one of the most powerful and honestly surprising answers came from a guy named Augustine of Hippo. So today, we're going to dive into his radical idea about what sin actually is.
And here's the big one, right? If God is all good and he created everything, then where in the world did evil come from? It's a huge puzzle, a paradox that people have wrestled with forever. And this is the exact problem that Augustine was determined to solve. All right, so to really get why Augustine's idea was such a game changer, you've got to understand the world he was living in and the huge problem everyone was debating.
So here's the fundamental conflict. On one hand, you've got this belief in a creator who is completely good, all-powerful. And on the other hand, well, you just have to look around. There's evil, there's suffering, it's undeniable. So how can both of those things be true at the same time? It seems impossible, right?
Well, one of the big answers back in Augustine's time came from a group called the Manichaeans. For them, evil wasn't just an idea. No, they believed it was a real, powerful, independent force. Kind of like a dark substance, co-eternal with God, locked in this epic, constant cosmic war with the forces of good. A real showdown.
Okay, so here's the interesting part. Augustine himself, he was a Manichaean for a while, but he eventually decided it just didn't add up. So he rejected it and came up with something completely different, an idea that was, frankly, radical, and it would change theology forever.
He basically said, nope. This whole idea of evil being some kind of eternal force, like a dark twin fighting God, he saw that as a massive theological mistake. For Augustine, it couldn't be true.
So his big counter-argument was this. Evil isn't a thing. It's not a substance you can point to. And he gets this straight from Scripture. Think about it. If God created literally everything and then said, yep, this is all very good, like it says in Genesis, well then evil can't be one of those created things. Because, God doesn't make junk. And that simple idea leads us right to the heart of his entire theory, what he called the privation of good. So, okay, if evil isn't a thing, then what on earth is it?
The T is in this Latin phrase he used, privatio boni, and it translates pretty simply to the privation or the absence of good. Now this right here is the absolute key to understanding everything Augustine is saying. Evil isn't the presence of something bad, it's the absence of the good that's supposed to be there.
Here's a great way to think about it. Is darkness a thing? Can you hold a cup of darkness? Of course not. Darkness is just what happens when there's no light. It's the absence of light. And Augustine says, that's it. That's how sin and evil work. They're just the absence of goodness.
So let's see how this plays out in the real world, right? Sin isn't about creating something brand new and evil. It's about taking something that was originally good and corrupting it, twisting it. So lying, it takes the good gift of speech and corrupts it. Lust takes the good natural gift of human desire and just disorders it. And pride, it takes the beautiful good order of love and completely flips it upside down by putting yourself at the very center. Okay, so that raises a question, doesn't it? Where does all this corruption, this absence of good, actually come from? For Augustine, the answer is inside us. It's in the human heart, and specifically, it comes from a disordered will.
See, he argued that the real core of sin, it isn't just making a mistake or being weak. It's a choice. It's a conscious, willful act of turning away from God, who is the highest good, and choosing to love something else, a lesser good, instead.
And he had this knockout Latin phrase that just nails the idea perfectly. It's amor sui usque ad contemptum Dei. And what that means is the love of self, even to the point of contempt for God. Wow. For Augustine, this is the root of all sin. It's that choice to put ourselves and what we want above our love for and our relationship with our Creator.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But you might be thinking, why does this 1700-year-old theory even matter today? Well, because the implications are huge. They've literally shaped Western thought for centuries.
We can boil it down to three massive takeaways. Number one, it keeps God completely good. Number two, it shows that sin is basically a parasite. And number three, it totally reframes salvation as an act of restoration, not destruction. Let's quickly unpack each of those.
First off, if sin isn't a thing that was created, then God didn't create it. Plain and simple, God is not the author of evil. And this was a huge deal for Augustine.
It means God made everything good, and it's us, it's humanity, through our own free will, that brings about the absence of that good.
Second, this idea that sin is parasitic. I mean, think about that image. Evil can't exist on its own. It needs something good to feed on, a good host, like creation itself, to latch onto and corrupt. It has no life, no power on its own.
And finally, this completely changes how you think about salvation, right? If sin is just a corruption of something good, then salvation isn't about God trashing the whole project and starting over. Not at all. It's about healing. It's about renewal. It's about restoring creation back to the way it was always meant to be. So, all this leaves us with a really big thought to chew on. If brokenness at its core is a lack of good, how does that change the way we think about healing? Not just out there in the world, but in our own lives. Maybe the most important question isn't just, what evil do we need to fight against? But rather, what good is missing here, and how can we help restore it?